Greetings, fellow humans, and welcome to Sam and Max Hit the Books. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
And we're here today to review the new release from TKO Studios, Sentient, by Jeff Lemire and Gabriel Walta. TKO is a little different in that they don't do individual singles where you can follow the story. They just release the whole thing all at once. You can buy either a trade paperback or a box of singles. I opted for the box of singles. That was my favorite of the formats from the first round of books I got from them because I tried out each one.
Right.
The singles are cool. They're oversized. They're like the size of a deluxe hardcover from Marvel or DC.
It is a nice size. I'll totally agree with that.
Yeah, it is cool. And so let's get right into it. So Jeff Lemire is an author we've read several things from, and he's usually fairly solid. Gabriel Walta, I don't think we've had anything on this show. The last thing I remember him doing was the Vision Tom King series, which was the last time Tom King was any good.
Oh, okay, cool.
What'd you think of Sentient?
I thought it was pretty good. I like the structure of it. I obviously am a big fan of sci-fi, so this was cool to read.
Yeah, some original sci-fi.
Yeah. And, I like the way that it seemed to take place in 3 acts, which were each about 2 issues long. Right.
Yeah, I got the feeling that may come from... to me, this felt very much like it slots into the... I had an idea for a movie, and I'm going to make this screenplay into a comic instead.
Yeah, definitely. It would make a good movie.
Yeah, the actual human travel stuff, I was reminded a little bit of Interstellar, just the way that everybody's kind of traveling long distances. And,
right, it takes forever.
Right, exactly. And, it's and also, obviously, 2001, which I think is intentional.
Yeah, there's definitely a big 2001 feeling to this.
Because there's this AI that controls the ship they're on, the USS Montgomery, and it's like a colony ship.
Yeah.
And, it's adults and kids, because they're going to fill out a colony. And I guess there's a rebellion fomenting amongst the people of the colony. We get little tastes of the news in the first issue.
Right, separatists.
Separatists.
They're called because they don't want to be bound by Earth law.
Right, we can relate to that kind of thing. Yeah.
Sure, you want to go somewhere out new and live by the new rules rather than be constricted by the old, which might not work in a new place.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We're going to be our own nation.
Yeah. So the separatists don't seem evil in that sense, but then what
Some
goes
stuff
on?
Happens. Yeah. Because, very quickly... all of the adults, there's a separatist on board the ship, and the idea is once the ship passes into the gray zone where they're no longer going to be in contact with Earth, the separatist soldier is going to take over the ship.
Right.
But was she straight just going to kill all the adults? Does she?
Yeah, that was the idea. Just kill all the adults, which she does manage to do.
She does.
But not before the adults are able to release the lockouts on the onboard AI and get rid of its mission directives in order to save the children at any cost.
Right, because one of its primary directives is that it can't harm any humans.
Of course.
Right, so you have to remove the directives in order to allow Val to kill. Which, if you're a fan of science fiction, that kind of leads you to think that the story is going to go one way.
Right, murderous robot rampage.
And then they double reversal you, because not only is Val not an AI who's going to go insane with murderous rage, but then once you realize that's the case, they do have another AI on another ship show up. Victor, that is definitely insane and murderous.
Insane and murderous, with human separatists on board working with them.
Right. So, the main character is pretty much the ship. There's 2 kids that are our primary point of view kids, the daughter of the main woman from the first issue, and then the son of the separatist. And they kind of take on a leadership role amongst all these kids. And the whole kids angle never really amounted to too much besides a lot about the kids screaming that they need to be allowed to do more things.
Right. Well, I mean, at first, after Val, the ship, kills the separatist woman, like, very violently, it's gruesome as hell.
Yeah.
So right away, the children are afraid of her, but they gloss through that pretty quick because they all have to work together.
Yeah, and I want to say what you mentioned about the very violent nature of the deaths. It's interesting. I want to segue into talking about Gabriel Walta's art a little bit, because he has what I would call, and this isn't meant to be derogatory in any way, but he has what I call a very plain style. It makes everything seem very demure and lived in, and the color tone is very matte, and the character, like, there's no exaggeration really happening with forms or anything. So when you do get that moment of crazy violence happening,
yeah,
it's really stark and noticeable, and
right.
It's an interesting contrast.
Yeah, it makes for some very creepy corpses.
And this would not be science fiction where you travel through unknown regions without our characters stumbling upon an abandoned outpost with one crazy person living in it.
It's a fueling station.
We get some of that. Lemire is doing these reversals where he uses bits in the narration to make you think the plot's going to go one way. Like, he'll use general pronouns, like talking about her. We could have saved her, and you're like, is he talking about the ship? Is he talking about the girl? Is the girl about to die?
Right.
And I thought for sure the girl was going to die when she went on to the space station.
Right, and she ran into the crazy guy.
And yeah, it's all pretty good. It's pretty solid. If a little bit underwhelming in a way. Like, I kept expecting... I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe it isn't fair to expect anything from an original piece of science fiction.
Right.
But something never quite launched the story for me and really gave it a lot of momentum.
Well, that's the thing. I'd say it's a good sci-fi story. It's a good space story, cool AI story, but it's not high concept.
It's not super high concept. There's reversals of tropes, but we're not really seeing much of anything we haven't seen before. We're not being asked to play with many big ideas. There's some cool sci-fi concepts here, but they're pretty much window dressing to what is happening on the page, which is mostly, the emotional struggle. Boy, though, another big surprise was when it turned out that the bad shit computer on the bad ship actually still had humans living on it, because I was sure that it was going to kill all the humans.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah.
Just, separatists, and they reprogrammed their AI or trained it, or whatever they do to AI in this one, to make it evil.
Yeah, they made it super terrible.
Yeah.
Very separatist.
Yeah, it just tries to dominate the AI of the kids' ship. Just take it over, and that's cool because
you get a good ticking clock with the red bars taking over the blue bars on the AI screen.
Right, exactly how you'd see in the movie with the one hacker kid working against it, and just in the nick of time he's able to pull another reversal by deleting the Victor AI from the other ship so that all the kids can rush over there after killing all of the separatists.
Yeah, because if I had to compare this to any form of entertainment, this felt like a 6-episode Netflix series.
Yep.
Like, something pretty much happens in each episode. There's a nice cliffhanger. You want to read the next one to find out what happens, but it's all a little bit plainly executed. It's just like, here's the story, we're going to tell it, bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
Which can be fine.
That's what happens.
Yeah. So as far as, issuing a score, I like to judge things as far as, like, how they meet, like, the thing they were trying to do. Like, it's tough to judge one thing against another, but the thing I like to think is, like, did this do what it set out to accomplish? So I have to say that, yes, this comic is as advertised. It accomplishes what it sets out to accomplish. And these big oversized issues are just too much fun to read. Like,
that is true.
I have a pet theory that their plan here is that this is a good way to replicate the nostalgia of reading a comic when you were still a kid and hadn't fully grown to your modern size. Like, you remember holding a big comic book when you were little. Like, this can give you that feeling again.
Yeah.
So that's why
I like that.
I'll always get the singles from TKO if they keep that as an option. They give it a nice box.
Yeah, and it doesn't take very long to read these 6 issues. It's real easy to just sit down and blast through them in one sitting.
Right.
Which, sometimes that's not a plus, but in a case like this where it's just one contained stories and 6 issues, sure, I like that.
And the ending was one of those endings where it's like, if they really wanted to do another story, like, you've retained the characters, but it ended. It ended.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the AI died. They had to train a new AI.
They have to train a new AI. Right. It's essentially Data and B4 in Star Trek Nemesis.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So I'm going to give this a 7.
I'd also give it a 7. Story, I'd probably give, a 6. And execution, I'd give a 7. And then art, I'd probably give another 6. I think that adds up altogether to a 7.
Yeah, if those were high 6s.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. All right, awesome. Well, thanks everybody for checking out this review. We will be back in the near future with even more comic reviews.
Hot skibbity-doo.
Like and subscribe.